Pop our edit poly back on, go back into edge mode and select and loop. Move that one over. And what I'm doing here is I'm lining these edge loops up to match the geometry at the top here. So that piece of wood there and the pieces on the end. Let's do this end piece here. Now I've probably got one more edge loop than I actually need. We'll find out in a minute. It does. I've got this edge loop in here. And I just removed it because we didn't need it. So we have there, 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 and there. That matches the vertical pieces of wood. Now we're only going to worry about the horizontal pieces, and there are only one at the top and one at the bottom. I'm just going to move these up a bit, and I'm going to move these down a little. Why did you do that? We did that because we had an edge loop in there that we removed. Okay. Let's go into poly mode here and select these ones. Just going to go into my orthographic viewports. Max is very fiddly when it comes to zooming in and out. It could be my mouse. I have a high DPI mouse, so that could be causing some problems for Max. I'm going to open my extrude dialog box. Move it out of the way. And I'm extruding in instead of out. Normally with an extrude you'd go out, but I'm extruding in. And again, I just want to make sure I don't do an extrude past that back edge. That should be fine though. We just want a bit of an extrusion on the interior. Okay. And that was just a quick way to, we could have done a similar thing to that with the railings, but showing you both ways, you can do it either way. Okay, now, how do I want to do this? What we could actually do is we could completely remove those interior pieces, which may be a better way to go. We could reapply the texture to the entire object and do it that way. Or we can remove the interior pieces and keep the background texture here. I think I probably prefer to do that. So again, I'm going to select these pieces we just did an extrusion on. I'm going to delete them. I'm going to do the same with these back edges. Okay, just making sure that we don't have any problems with our mesh here. Because we're going to have a gap between where we just deleted those two pieces. I don't know if you can make it out there, but you see that there's no edge here. That's not a big problem because we I really only concerned with that part of the mesh. We're not really worried about the back edge. We could even remove the complete back edge in through here, all the polys in through the background here, which may be a better way to go, because again, I want to get you guys into the habit of removing polys, even though you don't see me doing it a lot because I'm not making a game. If you're making a game, you really don't want to have polygons that you're not going to be using in your model. You want to try and reduce your poly count as much as you can. So we may as well do that here, I think. Max is really temperamental. Okay. So all I'm doing here is I'm going through and selecting all the polys on that back face, because that back face is going to butt up against that piece of the geometry. In other words, it's never going to be seen. I'm going to delete it. Now, I'm being careful not to delete these side pieces though. There are quite a few pieces left to text to Sniper Echo. I mean, yeah, we've done a few, but there's still a few, unfortunately. That's okay. Well, I mean, my motto is, if you're going to do something, do it properly if you can. I could rush through getting this retexted, but if I want to do it, then I might as well do it properly. So, and I think it helps to show you guys exactly, like I said, how I tackle doing this type of thing. If I rush through it, you're not going to get as much out of it as if I take my time and explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it and why I'm doing it. So that's my reasoning anyway. We've done a few pieces, so that's cool. And I do want to get this piece done though today. No, that's what I thought. There's no point in rushing anything. You're not going to get as much out of the stream if I'm rushing through it anyway. Or if I'm only doing a half-assed job, what's the point? I may as well try and do it properly, and that way you guys will get more out of it. Now I'm just going to make sure that this piece is actually inside the mesh. And I can tell here by that blue line, once it starts to intersect my mesh, I could do it in the top viewport and wireframe as well, that I'm actually intersecting the mesh correctly. And again, I want to make sure I do that so I don't get light leakage happening in the background when I bring it into Unreal. Now, this is quite a large piece of geometry, and you know I really hate hard edges, so we may soften the edges up on this. I think this one would do with having a softer edge, and like it will increase the poly count slightly, but hey, we removed the polys from the back there, so we saved some polygons that way, so we can afford to add a few more. That's how I justify it anyway. Let's just zoom in here and go into edge mode. No, we don't want that one. Now I'm just selecting the edges on the outside of the model. Actually, I won't select the top edge here because again, that's going to be hidden by the runner at the bottom of the railing. But this bottom edge will be seen, so we'll select that. But at this stage, I'm just selecting the inner edges. We'll do the bottom edge as a separate selection, I think. And again, even though in edit poly mode you have a chamfer command here, I'm going to throw a modifier on because it's a newer version of chamfer than the one that's built into the edit poly modifier, and it does a better job. I'm going to do 3 edge loops. I'm going to pull it back a bit, and I'm going to pull back a little on the tension as well. I'm just going to turn edge faces off here so I can get a better look at the actual model. I'm also going to turn on shaded, so I can get a nice soft edge happening here. Because these are wooden panels, they're not going to have a hard edge, they're going to be softened quite a bit. And as you guys know, I really hate hard edges on anything. Now I'm just going to collapse my stack there. Go back into edge mode. Turn constant and edged faces back on so I can see that I'm selecting everything properly. Now the reason I'm only, again, the reason I'm doing only the bottom edge and not the top edge is because the top edge is going to be covered by the bottom runner on the stairwell. But the bottom edge is open to the floor below, so you will see it. I think we have all of our edges selected. Again, let's throw that chamfer modifier on. Again, we're going to go to 3 segments, so 3 loops. We're going to pull it back a bit, and I'm going to pull back a little on the tension. And again, so I can get a nice soft edge. So you see that rounded edge that's happening just there? That should be good for what we want. So again, I'm going to collapse my stack. Now all we have to do is texture this up. So again, let's go into our front viewport. I'm going to turn edge faces off because I don't need them on now. And they just get in the way when I want to do my texturing anyway. Let's open a material editor. Let's find that texture, which is this one here. Must make sure I have my object selected so I can assign that texture. Alright, let's do an unwrap UVW. Make sure texture is selected in the background so we can see what we're doing. Alright, let's go into, we're in vertex mode here. Let's work with that and see if we can correct the UVs. Now again, I have to turn off complete object here because I've got sort by entire element turned on, which means if I just select 1 or 2 verts, it's going to select them all. I don't want that, so I'm going to turn that off. So I can just select 1 row of vertices. Again, I'm going to hold down the shift key and shift drag. That one's lined up correctly. Let's do these ones here. Okay, let's work from this end back. Alright. And now I just think we need to line up the top edge here a bit better. So again, I'm holding down the shift key. We'll do the same thing with the bottom edge just here. And that should really be all we need to do, I think. Everything else should be mapped correctly. I'm just going to turn off my map seams. Alright. We're in our left viewport. Let's go back into our orthographic. So So now all we've ended up doing is adding a little bit more depth to the model. The only thing I'm looking at here and thinking is we've got a bit of stretching happening here. So we may want to fix that up, I think. So again, let's just jump back into our UVW editor. Make sure we're in polygon mode here. I'm going to select all those edges on this side at the same time. Alright, now we can see where they are in our UV editor here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and break them again. Now we're going to do a flatten mapping. I'm going to move them up out of the way. Now we have to see if Max is actually, I have a feeling Max has got them the wrong way around again. So I think let's try rotating them 90 degrees. I must remember to turn my angle snap back on. It just makes working with it easier when you want to do a rotation to a specific value like 45 or 90 degrees. Again, I'm going to scale these down. Choose part of the texture that I want to copy them into, and probably just this center piece of wood here would be good enough. And that just fixes up the stretching that was happening there on the sides. I think we probably will have to do the opposite side though. Yeah, we will. It's finding it a little difficult to get Max to zoom in correctly for me. Alright, let's just quickly select these pieces here. Okay, that should be all we need. Yeah, it is. It is amazing. Sniper Echo says in chat that it's amazing how much more detail you can get into games now, and that's very true. I'll deselect that one there. And that's again one of the reasons why I want to add a bit more detail to this. I was looking at Mass Effect Andromeda. Let's use that as an example because that's just been released. Even though the animation in that game is truly horrible. With its dead eyes, and look, I'm not an animator, but I know bad and good animation when I see it, and it's not good in Mass Effect. They've done a terrible job. But the environment is what I'm more concerned with. And what they've done with the environments is looking very nice. They've made some really nice assets, particularly the rock textures. I really noticed those. They're looking great. And the sand, what do they call it? The desert textures, the sand, that all looks really nice as well. But particularly what caught my eye the first time I saw it was one of the what is it? It's the Bloodborne games, you know, that I can't remember the exact name of the game now, but one of those Bloodborne series games. The detail that they got into the models was astounding. Really, really nice work. The Japanese company, I can't remember exactly which game studio in Japan did it, but yeah, really nice stuff. Yeah, the rocks in the sand in Mass Effect Andromeda look great. It's just the animations that don't look great, which is a shame. They got everything else right, it's just a shame they couldn't get their animation quite right. It's not that the, you know, when he runs and when they jump and all that sort of stuff, that's okay. It's the facial animation stuff that's just not good. And particularly the eyes. You'll notice with the eyes, when they talk, they look dead. They have that dead eye look. As an example, if you look at one of the Naughty Dog games, any Naughty Dog game for that matter actually, or that Horizon game that was just released on PS4, when the character talks, they squint, their eyes move, they expand their eyes, they squint their eyes, there's certain ticks. Look at Witcher 3, that does animation really well, which they didn't do in Mass Effect. And that's what really lets it down, unfortunately. They could have done a much better job. Maybe it was probably, look, I've worked in the industry and I know what it's like. I think the animators wanted to do a better job, but they're on deadline. And the studio says you must have it ready by this date, regardless of whether you think it's done or not. And that's generally what happened. So I'm not blaming the animators that did the animation in Mass Effect for doing a bad job. It's probably a deadline problem issue. And, you know, these publishers and the publishers generally, they have their ad campaigns all set out and they want to release it at a certain time, so I can understand that. I'm not blaming them either. It's just the way business is, I'm afraid. And Sniper Echo says he's trying to create similar quality rocks and sand for the terrain that you showed me yesterday. Your terrain is looking great that you showed me yesterday, Sniper Echo. I wouldn't have a problem with I think your terrain is just as good as theirs. I don't know how they've done their terrains though, because they do. The quality of the rocks in that game are very nice. The textures they're using are very nice. I'm not sure exactly what engine they're using either for that game. I'm not really up on that company that makes the Mass Effect games. But it certainly does look nice. I'll give them that. They've done a good job with the texturing and the terrain work. The lighting can be a bit off, I've noticed as well though, on some of the characters again particularly, or the lighting is not quite right. They've done something weird with the lighting. Then I haven't played the game, but I've been watching a Let's Play. A guy on YouTube that I watch when he does his Let's Plays has been doing Mass Effect Andromeda, and I've noticed a couple of problems with the lighting. Again, that could be just something they can fix in a patch, I don't know. But there's something weird going on with their lighting, that's for sure. I don't think they're going to be able to patch out the animation problems though, which is unfortunate. Alright, so we have our completed detailing work there. What we're going to do here is I'm going to just shift click a copy again. And we should be good to be done for that piece of geometry. I've just got to make sure I copy that around to the other sides though. But what that has allowed us to do is to add a bit more detail into this, these, what do you call them, decorative borders I guess. Again, it'll help with the lighting, and we do see this quite a bit when we do the fly through. When we do the cinematic, we're going to be flying up through the middle of the stairwell, so we're going to be noticing that quite a bit. And it's just helped to add more depth to that piece of geometry. Yeah, like I said, I have a feeling that what's probably happened is, and again, this is my opinion, it's nothing I know for sure, that I think the game has been rushed to release. I think that's the problem with the animations. I don't think the animators wanted to leave it in that state, but I just have a feeling they didn't get enough time to put more work into it. And again, it's not anything to do with the general animation, it's just the eyes. They didn't animate the eyes correctly. There's no expression in their eyes. They just look like dead eyes on all the characters when they're talking. Next time the characters are talking in that game, if you're watching a playthrough or you're playing it yourself, look at their eyes. There's nothing there. They don't squint their eyes, they don't widen their eyes, there's no emotion in their eyes at all. Okay, let's, yes. I'm trying to work out whether I want to attach these or not. I'm not going to attach them just yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back out of isolation. this side I think we were working on. And yes. We are going to select the pieces we just worked on and the rest of those bottom pieces and jump back into isolation mode again. That'll just make it easier for me now to move these pieces around. I'm going to select both of those edges we just made. Again, I'm going to shift drag a copy out. And again, I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees. I'll pull in to make sure we get it intersecting that background. Yeah, it is a shame, I agree. I mean, apart from that, the game looks like it's quite fun to play. It's just a shame that the animation lets it down, particularly because it's a bit of a story-driven game, so you're talking to characters quite a bit, as well as shooting them. But yeah, and yeah, again, I don't think it's something they're really going to be able to patch out. The lighting issues they can probably patch out, but the animation they can't. I'm not saying it's impossible, they could, but they're probably unlikely to. And I have a feeling it's because they've rushed the deadline, that's why. Happens all the time. I've seen it time and time again. Like I said, I've worked in games development for a few different studios on a few different games, and yeah, I know how it works. Because remember guys, people don't ever set out to make a bad game. They always want to make the best game they can, because you know, these guys, that's their life, that's what they enjoy working on. So don't ever think that they just don't care. Not the artists anyway, they do care. It's just the deadline issue really. I'm just going to scale this in a bit because this part of the geometry is a little smaller. I'm also going to rotate it 180 degrees to better match the texture in the back that it's replacing in the background there. And again, I'm going to scale it up just a little bit more. Alright, I'm just making sure that we are actually intersecting the plane in the background, and I think we are. Again, we're not going to see this. This is not mapped correctly, but we're not going to see it because we have a runner that covers the top, and they butt up against each other here on the corners. So going to pull it in just a bit more. This piece on the end, you would be like that, wouldn't you? Right. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to shift click a copy out again. And I'm going to jump into my top viewport here. Throw down an edit poly. I'm just going to do a quick slice through here. And delete that end piece because we don't want it. Okay, now we can select both of those, copy it to the opposite side. Do a rotation of 180 degrees. There we go. Now we're going to make sure that we're lining these up correctly because I have a feeling we may have to rotate this one. I'm just going to move it out for a moment. Okay. Yeah, again we have to rotate this 180 degrees. Again, I'm matching up the texture here with the texture in the background. We'll move it over, push it back. Alright. Now I'm going to remove that little corner there. Looks like this one may have to be scaled back in a little. Okay, and again I'm going to hold the shift key and shift drag the copy out. Alright, now I'll jump back into my top viewport here and do the same thing. I'm just going to throw down an edit poly and do a quick slice to cut off the bit here at the end that I don't want. And then go into poly mode and delete those ones there on the end. And do the same thing on the opposite side. So we'll select that. Edit poly. You see, I throw an edit poly down as opposed to collapsing my stack. That way if I make a mistake I can just delete that modifier and go back to the original. No, we don't want attach, we want quick slice. And delete those polygons. Alright, now I'm just going to make sure that it intersects the background. And we should be good. Alright, now let's attach all these pieces together. I think it looks like we have them all attached because my mouse isn't changing. We can make sure by doing a move, and that's good. Let's move it back. Okay, let's exit isolation mode. We're nearly done here. Now there was just one other thing I wanted to do, which was these the texture here on the inside of these columns. I really don't want that inlay to be in there. It looks odd. The ones on the outside corner here are fine, but the one on the inside, it looks weird. Having the railing go up and intersect that decorative work like that just doesn't look right. To fix that though, what we would probably have to do is split the polys from those sides and retexture those two pieces while leaving these two textures on the other two corners intact. What I did want to do though was, I did want to get this into Unreal today, but we're like 95% done here now. All we really have to do is texture up this ironwork. This is the ironwork that goes inside the railings here, and I want to retexture that in Substance before I take it into Unreal. And like I said, I want to just remove the textures from those two inner corners there while leaving that same texture on the outer corners, because that texture blends in with the wooden panels that we're using for the walls. But like I said, it just looks weird having those railings butting up into that woodwork like that ornate woodwork. So it would look better if that was just a plain texture. So that's what I'm going to have to do. But I don't think we're going to get time to do that today, guys. We will finish this off tomorrow because I'll be back on again tomorrow. And we should certainly get, everything is done now. The only thing, like I said, that needs to be done is really texturing work. And the only texturing work we have to do is retexture this in Substance, which will be very quick because Substance applies a physically based material, so I won't have to muck around with that too much. And it's one material, so I don't have to muck around with material IDs. And I just want to retexture those two inner corners here where they butt up against the railing on these 4 columns on the corners. But I think we'll do that tomorrow, and then we can bring it into Unreal, and I can assemble it in Unreal and create a prefab, create a blueprint actually, and that'll be a prefab, so that it'll be one piece of geometry and that we can move around in Unreal. It's going to be one piece when we import the mesh. Apart from this, this is going to be a separate piece that we're going to have to place into these holes. Once we do that, we can create a prefab of everything in Unreal, create a blueprint, and that'll be a prefab so that we can move the whole mesh around when we want to place it in our level more easily. But we will do that tomorrow. I do want to thank you guys for hanging out with me and for watching. I do appreciate it. Thank you guys also that followed my Twitch channel. I do always appreciate that as well. Do remember I stream every Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time in the United States. I will be back on again tomorrow. If you're not sure when I'm live though, keep an eye on my Twitter page at PhilDoes3D, because I always post 15 minutes before I'm about to go live to my Twitter page. You're quite welcome. Thank you for popping into chat, Sniper Recon, for being here. I appreciate that as well. I will be back on again tomorrow though, guys. Hope you guys have a good night, and hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. See you guys.